Hi everyone. Thanks for clicking on the video. The one thing I enjoyed in Elden Ring was all the experimentation I could do with builds. I could do complete playthroughs with different builds and have completely different strategies, which makes the game endlessly fun. There is one Ash of War that I feel I am bound to. This is not a video about what objectively is the best Ash of War, but rather a video about how an Ash of War has held me hostage, and now I have Stockholm Syndrome. I tried stepping away from this Ash of War numerous times, wanted to switch to a high faith build, and use Taker's Flame, especially since you can stack its damage multiplicatively. Or with the DLC, you could bring back Transient Moonlight and pair it with Relenous Cameo. You could just giga-chad the game with the Claymore and RKR. But the one Ash of War that synced its blade in most of my playthroughs was Blood Tax. I am not sure why I like it so much. Maybe because it is literally the first Ash of War that you can witness coming straight out of the gate and fighting Varus. Or maybe it's that bleed damage works really well in the game. It still does. You can easily shave chunks off of enemies' health pools by just using bleed, preferably on a katana. Maybe it's the fact how damage stacks when you are using bleed, with so many talismans and some equipment pieces. But that goes for all bleed Ashes of War, right? So what makes Blood Tax so unique? In my experience, it's the whole struggle you have to go through to completely optimize it. Let's recap what all you need. In terms of talismans, you can only get Millicent's Prosthesis or Rotten Winged Sword Insignia per playthrough, which means the meta way to do it is to get the Winged Sword Insignia and then pair it with Millicent's Prosthesis to stack damage. You will still have to do another playthrough to get Rotten Winged Sword Insignia to completely optimize your build. The next talisman you need, and this goes for any bleed build, is a Lord of Blood's Exaltation, which, again, is a chore, because you get it from Lendel, the royal capital, and you have to traverse and parkour the subterranean shunning grounds to get to it, and then fight a boss who does good blood damage. Now that you have these 3 talismans, you can fill the 4th slot for something for defense, or maybe to boost dexterity or arcane. Now, let's move on to the tiers. So the one tier that you really need to boost damage of Blood Tax is the Thorny Cracked Tear, and you get it pretty late in the game, in the snowfields. This tear also helps you stack damage along with your talisman damage. Once you've done all of this, and if you have the Rakshasa set, you can use it to get 8% more damage. Now, once you've invested so much in building around Blood Tax, and now you know that you can shave massive chunks of health with it, Blood Tax hits you with another goodie, the health regeneration part. Now, before I jump to how health regeneration actually happens here, it is firstly important that I communicate why I love health regeneration so much in Elden Ring. When Elden Ring is your first Souls-like, you take boss fights slightly differently. Up till now in your gaming journey, you've fought NPCs, mechanical dinosaurs, Norse gods, or the occasional monster. But Elden Ring flips that and gives you ulcer-inducing boss fights from the get-go. The boss fights are fast, and the flask animation to get health cannot be canceled. This means that you get very tight openings to get some health back, and you have to time them perfectly. Otherwise, the enemies will just one-shot you, and do it quite easily, to be honest. This brings the second part of Blood Tax into play, the health regeneration on hits. The health regen becomes super handy in faster boss fights. These quick bosses don't like giving you any space. The few openings that you manage to get Blood Tax allows you to not just attack, but also replenish those hard-to-recover HP points. The health regen works independent of the damage caused and relies more on your own health bar. Each hit of the 4-hit combo of Blood Tax replenishes some amount of health. This regeneration of health is 2-pronged, one being a fixed number of health points that you replenish, and the second is a percentage of your total health bar. According to Fextralight, the first and the last hit replenish 45 points of HP along with 4% of your total health, and the second and third hits do 25 HP points and 2% of total HP. This means if you land the entire combo, you get 12% of your max health plus 140 horsepower points. This makes Blood Tax a reliable Ash of War during those tough boss battles, where you have to choose between doing damage or replenishing health. But this is not where it ends, so up till now I've just been discussing about how Blood Tax does damage. Based on the bleed affinity, this means you've changed the weapon's inbuilt affinity using a whetstone and made it bleed. But let's take a moment and say, you want more physical damage. You remove the bleed affinity and switch it with keen affinity. Now, this changes a few things. Well, not a few, but one very important incantation comes into play, an incantation that helps you proc bleed without the weapon having the bleed affinity. Blood Flame Blade. Now, what makes this incantation good is that you do not need to fight any bosses before getting it. You can simply go to Liurnia of the Lakes and pick it up. There is a teardrop scarab that drops it right close to the Rose Church. Once you put this incantation, you can keep the blood tax Ash of War. Use the incantation and get both physical damage and hemorrhage build up. That's all I can talk about. Blood tax. I am sure there are other benefits, but I had a great time using it. I know I have been away for some time, but I hope to keep a regular schedule now. Thank you. Not a lot of people make it this far. I am still new and learning how to improve. Thanks and have a great day ahead.